Hello, everyone. Sarah from sarahpicaro.com. I was recently asked and engaged in a discussion about how to set yourself free from terrible things. Obviously, if you follow me for any length of time, you know that my niche, my specialty is setting people free from terrible things, from past emotional abuse, neglect, and trauma. And those are terrible things. And it's not just a single terrible event, but a multitude of terrible events, which can lead to CPTSD, which I call complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or confusing post-traumatic stress disorder, chaotic, whatever the C wants to be for you, whatever it feels like for you. It feels complex, confusing, chaotic, all of the things. How to set yourself free from those terrible things. So, what is my perspective on it? Truly, the key to setting yourself free is forgiveness. And that seems like, ugh, why did you have to say that? Like you got punched in the gut, punched in the stomach. That one thing that seems impossible to do, that seems like you can't do. You can do a lot of other things. You've been through so many things, but you can't do that one thing. But that's my perspective on terrible things because that has been the key that has set me free. Really getting to the forgiveness for yourself. But before forgiveness for yourself can come, or after, it just depends. Everyone's journey is unique and different to them. But how do you forgive someone who's done something terrible? I was asked this question because everyone that I work with struggles with this. How do you forgive someone who's done an unforgivable thing, who's done something so horrible and terrible to you? Well, first of all, someone who has done something that terrible to you is not someone that you continue to have a relationship with. This is why no contact is of crucial and vital importance. I talk about this in other videos because I have a child with a malignant narcissist. So, do we still have to have contact? At this point in the game, there is very, very minimal contact because of proceedings that have happened through the court. But up until then, there was still contact necessary, but it was all documented contact with people who've done terrible things. If you must have contact with them, must be documented, all of it. So, but this video isn't really about that. This is about what you need to do energetically, emotionally, spiritually to set yourself free from people who've done terrible things. So, regardless of whether you have to have contact with them or not, you do not have a relationship with them. And there's a big difference between having a relationship with someone and having contact with someone. There was no relationship with them anymore. They were not allowed to come into my world, but there still had to be some level of contact. But that's all documented just for your own protection so that it will not be used against you later. And if it's tried to, you have proof of the truth. Your documenting becomes your Bible of truth for what actually occurs and what actually happens in the time and in the way. But this is about forgiveness. This is about true emotional connection to freedom from someone who's done terrible things to you. You do not continue a relationship with them. You might need to continue contact with them, but it's very, very, very different from continuing a relationship with them. And you forgive them. You forgive them, for they know not what they do. Literally, like when Jesus died on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he was in the most agonizing, excruciating pain, far more pain than any of us have ever been in, and far greater than any of us could ever imagine. And those were the final words. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. We need to adopt the same mentality, the same principle. And we can say that these people know what they do, but they don't know the depth of our emotional pain from what they've done. So we are forgiving ourselves to release ourselves from them. You do this first through freeing yourself from having a relationship with them. And if they continue to do terrible things to you, you have put that boundary in place by saying there is no more relationship with you. And to take your healing relationship and journey even further, you free yourself from them by sitting with the truth. They know not what they do. There were things that my ex had been through that I couldn't begin to dream or fathom or understand the emotional depth and trauma of, and things that my mind literally could not wrap itself around. And that was the hook for far too long that kept me staying in the relationship with them, because I was stayed in an order to try and figure it out, in an effort to try and figure it out. My mind could not wrap around the pain and why they were causing me so much pain. And there was something inside of me that said, I don't deserve this. But also another part inside of me that said, well, you must deserve this because you're experiencing this. Why would you not be experiencing this unless you deserved it? So there was that I had to work through. But I was able to truly, completely set myself free when I understood that I would never understand. I understood that I would never understand the depth of his emotional pain, neglect, and own abuse and trauma that he himself was going through, the stories that he had connected to and attached to, and that staying in the relationship was only hurting myself, was only killing my own spirit and my own soul, was only further deteriorating it. And I understood that I would never understand. And through the understanding that you'll never understand, you can understand that you need to take yourself out of the relationship with them. And then, and only when you do that, can you get into that space where you can begin to see things more clearly, begin to see things for what they are, because you're no longer looking through or living through those foggy and jaded glasses. You can see things, you can look back and you can see things in hindsight, and you can see the red flags, and you can see the ways that you began to make excuses and give them permission and let them continue to hurt you, and realize that you were a volunteer in that relationship, not a victim, that you chose to stay. And you can begin to honor that and forgive yourself for you staying in that for far longer than you should have. And when you do this, you begin to free yourself, you begin to forgive yourself. And there's freedom in forgiveness. And this is all about freeing yourself. Not saying that what they did was okay, but really detaching and disconnecting from the energy and the emotion that you experienced being with someone who did such terrible things to you. I really, truly, in my heart and soul, know this and believe this. And there's a connection to believing and knowing that when you forgive someone, you disconnect from them. Your hatred, your anger, your pain, your resentment that you have with them continues to keep you in a relationship with them. And there's different types of relationships. You get out of the relationship physically, but forgiveness is getting out of the relationship spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. That's why it is the key to set you free, because so many people get out of the relationship physically, but they stay emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. And forgiveness is detaching from that, is truly separating from that. And that's freedom, because there's no more attachment, there's no more connection. So when you continue to hate them, you continue to stay connected to them, and you continue to be in a relationship with them. It's an energetic, emotional, mental relationship and connection. So their hatred is your hatred. You're connected to their hatred energetically. So when you forgive yourself, you disconnect, you set yourself free from that. When you still have anger and hatred towards them because you haven't yet forgiven them, you're still connected to them. And that is still energetically connected. So it's still going back and forth. It's still coming into you. And that hatred, that energy, that connection begins to materialize and is turned inward, and it becomes self-hatred, because physically you're not in a relationship, but you're still energetically connected and in a relationship. And that's what you begin to hate yourself for. That's why self-forgiveness is needed and needed to be processed, because it's become something that you've turned inward, directed inward. And this happens internally and unconsciously. It's not like you can literally and physically see this, because literally and consciously you understand, well, I'm not in a relationship with them anymore. Why am I still having such a difficult time with this? Why is this still feeling like it's impossible to internalize, to understand? Why am I still struggling with this? Because you're still connected to it. When you're angry at them and you have hatred towards them, you're connected through your anger and through your hatred. But you logically understand, I'm not in a relationship with them, right? But you still are, when you have yet to forgive them. and you have yet to forgive yourself. There's still an energetic connection to hatred and anger. So it's when you go through the process of forgiveness for them, for they know not what they do, and you understand that you will never understand them because you're not them. It's as if you're saying to yourself and to the anger and the hatred and the resentment and the pain, I release you. I free you. Forgiveness is a freedom. Forgiveness is a release. You're no longer attached to that through your emotions. It's saying to that part of yourself that experiences the hurt, the anger, the pain, the shame, the guilt, I've let you go. I am free from you. You, anger, hatred, pain, resentment, you were over there. I am here. I am now whole and I am complete because I am now no longer connected to you. That is the forgiveness, to say, I understand that I don't understand you. I know nothing about you. I don't desire to. I'm not going to stay connected to this desire to understand you and your pain and why you would do the things that cause so much pain. I feel complete with understanding that I don't understand you and I am letting you go. I am not going to spend any more minutes, seconds, hours, months, years, decades of my life trying to understand. I accept that I understand that I don't understand, and I no longer wish you any pain. I no longer wish you any punishment. I no longer wish you any vengeance, because you wishing that on them keeps you connected to pain, punishment, and vengeance. I will no longer make it my job or assign it my role to ensure that you are hated. I let it go. I don't agree with what you did. I never have. I didn't then, and I never will. I don't agree with what you did. I don't think that what you did is or was okay in any sense. And I forgive you for doing it. I release you from what you did, and I will no longer stay connected to you through my own hate for any more of my life. And that is what cuts off the energetic relationship. See, we all have a relationship with energy. We all have a connection to energy. We are energetic, emotional, spiritual beings. And so it's not just the physical relationship that needs to go, it's the energetic relationship to hate, to vengeance, to pain, and to anger. That is what you desire freedom from. When you're ready to truly experience that at the soul level, the heart level, let's connect.